What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast. And Happy New Year. It's the first Sportscast of the new year. We're actually in my kitchen as, both been busy. And this is the only chance we got to record. And we want to get a show out as there is a lot going on Merseyside. Mm-hmm. How's your crimo anyway, lad? You were away, weren't you?
Oh, brilliant. Really good, yeah. Like, literally, all the buckets filled. I had some boss time with the family, like the wider family. I had 22 in mine on Christmas Day, which was a challenge, but I love like, cooking. Do you know what I mean?
Rising to the challenge.
Yeah. I mean, the only bit I don't enjoy, and everyone who's cooked, even for like a few people who appreciate this, is just dishing it all out. So this year was done a bit differently. We had like a buffet set up on the island with all the food. It was all warm and everything. It was just 10 minutes of chaos while everyone was like loading the plates up. But went away on the 28th for a week to Gran Canaria. Just me. So
before you tell me about your holiday, tell me, I asked you, because I saw you a few days before, you and Jen and I seen a thing on the internet, and it said, if you were inviting people around to your house...
Oh, how much would you pay?
How much? So now that you've done it, and it went well, I'm guessing, given the experience you gave your guests...
We were talking about it, actually, after you'd said it to us.
So a meal at Gary Judge's house at Christmas, entertainment, food and drink, how much is it setting you back?
So I'll give you the context first. So the guests arrived, they get canapes.
Nice.
Obviously drinks and stuff. All the bottles are in like ice buckets, and then there's a drinks fridge and stuff. There's like little, I say canapes, they're like starters that are out, you know what I mean? So people can just eat straight away, have a little nibble if they want. Some people are like traditional, no, I'm not touching anything until my dinner. And then like, obviously a little bit of conversation and that, and then we had the food out, so everyone sits down as the dinner. Wine, there's a big, huge like double magnum of red wine on the table, several bottles of white wine on the table, obviously beers on the go all day. Once we've had our dinner, we do give the presents out then. Obviously not going to charge people for giving presents out. Then we'll have a game of bingo, a quiz, a proper quiz that we've done for the day. Got to credit one of our friends who actually done it for us this year, Meg Murphy. She done the quiz for us, designed it. And then we had gammon later on with a like proper baguettes, you put in the oven.
My mouth's watering here, lad. Go on.
Cheese and crackers and stuff, and then then more drinks and a few other little games. The last people left, I think, about 1:15.
Huh?
Got to ours at about 1 in the afternoon.
But 12 hours, yeah. So really, lad, minimum £100 for that.
I'd probably say 100. I'd probably charge the adults £150. I was
going to say,
and like £50 for the kids, because
even you're getting a 12-hour session there, aren't you?
The kids were just playing. I mean, the kids were just playing with toys all day. You know what I mean? Which some of them were theirs, some of them were Oliver's. And
how much would you pay for a Gary Judge Christmas invite? I reckon minimum £100, more £150. I'd be paying next year. Get me down. How much are kids?
Kids. £50, I think.
Yeah.
Because like they're just getting fed, aren't they? I mean, there's kids drinks on the go all day.
How brilliant would it be though if like someone you were like?
I forgot desserts. Obviously there was loads of desserts going. I struggle to eat a dessert after my Christmas dinner.
I don't think I had one this year.
No, I don't think I did.
I'd just love it though next year. Right, do you want to come to ours for Christmas? Yeah, okay. £100
Send you
deposit.
The menu. Proper PDF.
I might start doing it. Yeah, I'm glad you had a good one, and I'm glad it all went well, because you did tell me you had a lot of people around.
How about you?
Yeah, it was good, mate. Yeah, just nice and chilled. Done a bit of a quiz. Got Albert to do a quiz for everyone, which was nice. Went down the feathers. Had a few in there. It's chilled. My family's dead small in it, but it was nice, lovely. And I got Alba a trip to Paris, which we're going tomorrow. Well, today.
Wow.
So that was a Christmas present. That was a bit for me as well. So we're going there, daddy and daughter weekends. It was good.
It's amazing.
Good. Right. Probably going to be mostly footy this, because again there is a lot going on. Lot to talk about, both Liverpool and Everton.
To win on as well.
Yeah. I think Everton's going to be the juiciest stuff, so we'll kick off with Liverpool.
Liverpool's quite juicy, actually.
Do you reckon? Everton's juicier.
Yeah, juicier, yeah.
Anything with Mourinho in is quite juicy, and I'm not letting that. I'm going to build that up, because I fucking would love him to be here. And we've got Mr. Potter doing his throwing his invisible cloak on when Everton came calling as well, didn't we? But we'll get on to that. Right, Liverpool. Starts with Man United, really, wasn't it? It was such a lacklustre performance, and we spoke about it loads, haven't we, about how Liverpool will play different under Klopp than Arne Slot, obviously, and about how it's not been in the ground sometimes when we played United, City, even Everton at times, and when the crowd's going, those first 10 or 15 minutes, you hear some of the ex-pros talk about it, like they can just smother you. Yeah. And that's what we've done a lot of times. You know, you look at the 7-0s and the big results we've had over United, and I just felt the first 20 minutes was just so, like, it was like non-emotional. Which is good sometimes in the way we play, because it's almost like a bit like Man City. It's just like a robot. But those Man United games where it's like stuck in straight away, there was just none of that. And there was so much talk about our midfield, Boston United's midfield, and it was the opposite. For Fernandes played brilliant, and we just looked like a shell of the team that we have been. And I think there was no emotion in it, which was a big, straight away just had the alarm bells ringing. Then as the match goes on, Trent was the big talking point, wasn't he? I mean, I wouldn't say it's a shock, because listen, he's got that in his locker, hasn't he? He does it a couple of times a season where he's just absolutely awful. But he was particularly bad, not only in defending, but also with the ball himself. Lacklustre passes, not tracking back, not running back. And he rightly got subbed. I seen on social media, you know, a few Liverpool fans talking about Arne Slot maybe made one of his first major decisions by not replacing him sooner. I mean, he could have got brought off after 60 minutes, really, couldn't he?
Yeah.
And Conor Bradley comes on and you know, I think he makes a first tackle straight away, and he has a point where he has a shot, but he maybe could have pulled it back, and he just looked straight away.
Yeah, he went for the near post. Yeah. It wasn't a bad decision, to be fair. It was on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So, and then obviously because of the Trent situation, you got all that fallout, and I'm not going to start going down the wheels are falling off, but you then had the Spurs result in. Again,
and performance again.
And the performance again, yeah. And I think we were lucky at the results. You know, Arsenal drew and Chelsea drew. We kind of got away with drawing at the weekends, but I think there was just the first signs of like
bit
vulnerability, yeah, a bit stale. I think Liverpool's both fullbacks are just not. Listen, love Robbo to bits, but he's not at the level he was a couple of seasons ago. Love Trent to bits, but he's never been able to defend. And I'm just fearful that, as great as we have been defensively, I think we've got the second best defence in the league. Might even be the first, actually. Sides are going to start just peppering Trent.
Like, not only that as well, you seem to be having some issues now, and obviously Quanta's come off last night. Kanate's just coming back from injury and still doesn't look right.
Gomez injured.
Yeah. You know, and Van Dijk was looking a bit frustrated, isn't he? Looking around at his teammates going, listen, is anyone going to help me here? Or...
He looked at Alisson a bit, you know, when Alisson done a bad...
Because again, he's another one, he's been in and out of the team, hasn't he? Obviously for different reasons, not like he's been dropped, but he's had injuries, and you know, you don't know if Alisson's starting to think, a bit of pressure on me here, you know, for the first time, because, you know, Kelleher had a good run of games and barely made a mistake. There was one game where he'd made a mistake, but probably no different to the performances Alisson had put in before that. So I wouldn't go as much as I'd love to clutch on to like here we go, the wheels are falling off, as you just said. I do think there is a few alarm bells in there, and you know, it's probably the first real challenge now for Arne Slot, you know, because he could easily go and look to make sweeping changes. One thing that stuck out to me, I don't think Salah was quite at it against United. I also don't think he was quite at it against Spurs, and you just look like a different team when he's not like kind of taking the game by the scruff of the neck. He's not creating things. There was a few moments against Spurs where he's broke out and Salah's final ball wasn't quite what it has been, or he didn't quite make the same decision. And look, there's no doubt about it, and that's not a dig at your other forwards. There's just a big gap between Salah and the rest of them, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not so much, listen, I'm not saying the wheels are falling off either, but I do think it's, the way the league looks, it is a bit deceiving in the sense that, what is it, was 6 points clear, 5 or 6 points clear. We had 2 games in hand, now only 1. But at a point, it was like, wow, God, you could go 11 points clear, but then the way the fixtures fell, Arsenal could have went within 3 points of us, I think, maybe. So it is a little bit deceiving at times, and I think it looks kind of better than it is, I think.
I mean, look, you'd rather have the points on the board.
Yeah, and it's not as if that game in hand is against no one. It's
you are clear, and look, I think it's been a weird season. I think if you look at seasons gone by where a team is running away with it, you normally look at that team and go, wow, they're far and away the best team in the league. Now, I'm not saying you aren't. You are deservedly top of the league by 6 points, but it's almost been more to do with the fact the other teams just can't string, you know, more than 3 wins together, whereas you have had probably close to your normal level for the last 5-6 years. You know, you have been winning, very rarely getting beat. I think you used to put your points tally, I haven't looked at this, alongside, you know, the last 5 seasons. You'd probably be second in some seasons, maybe a couple of points ahead.
I always know personally for me when it's a good season, when I can remember the defeats or I can remember the games we didn't win. And it's literally on one hand I can remember the games. You know, you've got Arsenal, Fulham, Newcastle, Forest and United. I might be wrong, but I think there's only 5 games there that we've not won. So,
and I was actually trying to, it's weird you say that, I was looking at them last night. I was trying to look for a pattern, and there isn't one really. It's not like when you go behind you get beat, or when you concede 2 you get beat. It's like the Forest and Tottenham game are probably quite similar. I think you quite really were at it.
And you know what? That's probably what you've got to say about Trent. This whole argument of his head getting turned now as the Madrid pressure starting to. I don't think it was that. I just think he's got that in his locker to have an absolute mare. You know, Evertonians, United fans, everyone will be on Trent anyway, saying that he can't defend. And listen, as a Liverpool fan, he fucking can't. It's not that he can't, but it's like he doesn't enjoy it.
I just think, I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I think there's just something in it at the moment where he seems to be trying to go out of his way to respond to things, whether it's on the pitch or whether it's, I don't know if you've seen the clips from last night where he's like having a go back at the Spurs fans because they're all winding him up and he's turning round and he's actually, you know, and it's like that, you know. I just think in years gone by he's just shrugged that off and thought, you know, I'm going to get on, I'll be professional about it. Whereas all the whole thing of cupping his ear or whatever it was, I just feel like he is it is going to his head a little bit. I'm not saying that was the whole thing, the United performance, but you know, his body language wasn't quite right. But it was almost like he was trying to be lethargic on purpose to go, I can defend and I don't have to be overly aggressive by doing it. I can just show people inside. It obviously backfired and he looked like a bit of a plank in the end. But
well, it was the whole just not tracking back, not putting tackles in, and then just stop running, and that's what, you know, conceded us the goals. It was at fault for definitely one of them. Might have been 2. The other thing though, what's kind of threw a spanner in the works a little bit for me, and we knew this was going to happen the longer it went on, and I don't actually blame the club in some parts for this contract situation. It's like, whose fault is it? Do you know, when Trent signed his last deal, I read recently that Alisson and him got offered a contract. I think they both got offered a 6-year deal. Alisson signed his 6-year and Trent opted for a 4-year deal, which is this one that he's on now. So already there's alarm bells there thinking, well, why doesn't he want to sign for 6? So there's number one. He's got to a point where a couple of years ago Klopp's decided he doesn't want to be the manager. So Trent's in his right to say, actually, I want to hang on and see what's happening. So I can kind of understand how the club's found itself in this unfortunate position. I've been saying now for a few weeks, I've been told by my sources that Trent did want to go. He's had a U-turn and now wants to stay. But I've seen an interview, a podcast, I think it was Paul Merson said or something, and he doesn't always come out with the greatest stuff, Paul Merson, but one thing he did say, which I did think was really interesting, is there's no way Trent will not go now because he's been losing out on money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if he'd signed a contract a year ago, it would have been on more money. So for him to not have any more money and then just accept the same contract off Liverpool, it would be ridiculous. He will have lost out on millions of pounds now. So I didn't really think of it that way, and now I'm thinking, actually, you know what? Yeah, he's.
I think too often, and I say this all the time when I'm talking about Everton or just talking on podcasts in general, talking to people seem to forget that the footballers and the football industry is no different to any other industry. Businesses, you know, employees. Again, if you think about that in an office environment, your boss comes to you and goes, look, I want to offer you a new contract, you're going to be on blah, blah, blah. The minute that you go, nah, your boss is thinking,
Yeah.
And the minute you turn that down and stay on the same money, you've got to be an ulterior motive, and there's got to be something else in the background that's going to replace the earnings that you're receiving. And I think all the narrative, and you've heard a few people say it, that Trent's agent has told Madrid to put a bid in. They know that Liverpool aren't going to accept it, but then Trent's got a bit of an out when everyone criticises him to go, well, actually Madrid put a bid in January. Liverpool could have took the money. They haven't took it, so you can't blame me for leaving on a free.
If that is all true, then it's shocking behaviour really from Trent and his
but
side.
it's not unusual, is it?
No, it's not unusual.
It's not unusual, and again, it wouldn't be unusual in a corporate environment of like going, well, the company has a choice to to kind of get some compensation for me going to another company. They chose not to do it and let me run my contract on.
No, I totally get it. I think the thing that is frustrating a lot of Liverpool fans is when Stevie flirted with going away, you could understand why he wanted to go, because we were shite. You know, we won the European Cup, but he was literally carrying the team. You know, we had a few decent players around him, but for the majority of his career, he played in poor Liverpool teams. Trent has played in unbelievable teams since he's been here. And
a question for you, I've asked this a few of my mates, and I've always said this about fullbacks in general, but how often in those teams, in those seasons, have you finished that season and went, wow, we wouldn't have done that without Trent?
Yeah, no, you know what, when we spoke early on in the season, you said, which one would you let go? You said that argument, and I thought, you know what's a great point.
Leagues aren't won by fullbacks.
No, the one where either great defenders, he's great centre-halves or great attackers.
Or keepers at times as well.
Or keepers as well, yeah. So as much as I'm to and fro on Trent, I think the kind of problem for Trent is he hasn't got the excuse that Stevie had, where it's like, listen, I'm carrying the team on my own here, we're not winning nothing. Trent's top of the league, top of the Champions League, he's won Everton, he's got world-class players around him. His excuse, if he does choose to go, cannot be, I want to win trophies. It needs to be, I've been offered 30 million signing on fee. He needs to come out and be honest with it.
And that's mad, isn't it, now? Because like there was a bit of I think there was a large section of fans when the original polls come out. It was like Trent's the priority because of his age and this, that and the other. Then it's shifted to Salah. Van Dijk's probably been somewhere in the middle. The Van Dijk and Salah, you absolutely cannot level the same kind of comparisons as we are with Trent, because there are seasons, I think you probably say, where Van Dijk was the main man. It's like he's been the cornerstone. There's definitely been seasons, and this is one of them, where Salah is the main man.
You'd never thought, God, we'd be fucked without Trent.
But but at the same time, if they both left in the summer, you also wouldn't be like, scumbags, they're horrible, because you'd be like, you know what, fair play, they've given us a good shift, they've given us the best years of their career.
And the other one on that, you bang on, because imagine a season now, if we don't have Salah next season, you're like, fucking hell, where are those goals coming from? Imagine a season if we've got Salah, but we haven't got Van Dijk, you're thinking, the defence is a bit dodgy. Imagine a season where we've got Van Dijk and Salah, but we've got Conor Bradley instead of Trent. You're not that bothered, are you? Well, you're not as bothered anyway.
I wouldn't say so, no. And I think that from the other Liverpool fan mates that I've got as well as you, that now is pretty much the consensus. You could actually wind them up a few months ago. You're going, he's going to Madrid. Whatever, sounds like go to Madrid.
I think the only thing, I seen Jamie Carragher saying he's not bothered by it. I fucking am. When they say we're going on free.
It's the piss take element of it. Yeah. It's like the disrespect of the club and the fans.
Yeah, I think so. And listen, Trent's multi-millionaire. He's, as much as we think, for the fans, he doesn't give a fuck about anyone but his family, which is fair enough. But you know what I mean, by the way.
It does hurt when one of your own's on it. It's obviously happened to us several times. Ross Barkley being the one that but at the same time, with a football head on it, you can understand why Ross Barkley went. Franny Jeffers back in the day, it was similar with him.
Not getting no money for him, no.
We did get money for him, but it was like he was angling for the move.
Yeah.
And it was a time when actually, did the club need the money? Maybe. Could he have stayed easily?
That's definitely pissing me off. The fact that we've got probably one of the best right backs in the world, top 5, and he'd be going.
Ross Barkley was horrible. It was dead similar to Trent, because we had a bid from Chelsea in the January window and he knocked it back. Basically said he didn't just want to move because he knew he was going to go on a free and get more money.
Yeah. And I also think, listen, we know how good Trent is. Don't need to say how good his passing range is and what he brings to the team. But defensively, liability. I hope he knows that the kind of scrutiny he's going to come under in Madrid. You're seeing like Beckham when he had a tough time out there. There's been loads of higher profile players than Trent who've got dogs abuse. Look at Gareth Bale.
Yeah.
The abuse he got, and it's like, what happens if he goes there and he gets found out like he has done against United, and that happens week in, week out, which definitely could happen.
It could happen, yeah. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, I guess if you're going to look at it from a tactical point of view and look at and see where Trent might get exposed, you'd almost, from his perspective, you'd imagine that there's been talks of, where I'm going to play, what system are you going to play to fit me in.
Good point, yeah.
I don't doubt that wouldn't have happened. Whether it's them going, you know what, we need to play a 3-4-3 and we need a wing back who can come into midfield and whatever. Yeah. I don't know, but you would imagine that those types of conversations. He's not
playing a proper right back, is he? Because he's going to get done.
No, like Carvajal. I mean, to replace someone like Carvajal, who's an outstanding defender, and he's going to get exposed there. You're right.
The other thing I'll say in the contracts, which again we're talking more about off the field stuff than football, but Moyes pissing me off again. Did you see his Instagram? He put a photo of just Van Dijk, him and Trent. And you're just like, lad, we know you want another contract, but come on.
And that's the only bit, like I was going to say that at the end, that's the only bit where you say, look, I'm not blaming the club, I'm not blaming the owners. There must be more to this to some extent. There always is. Obviously, there's several sides to the story. There's the fan side of the story, there's the players' side of the story, and there's the club side of the story.
And the truth's probably in the middle.
Yeah, and I'm sure it is. But there's got to be something like, I mean, all of those players at different stages have said there's no offer on the table. We haven't been offered anything. Mo Salah in particular said on several occasions now there's still no offer.
Yeah, that obviously is an offer, but he's just not the one that he is prepared to accept. The other thing which I think fans are a bit mad, saying it's the club's fault. What does the club do if they go, look, we're going to offer you that, and the player says no?
But that hasn't even been. The club haven't said that, have they? The club haven't turned around and said we've made an offer and they've rejected it.
No,
if the club are looking to, I mean, there's no need for they're not those types of owners, are they? They do what they do and they do it in the background. And at times they will, obviously with the ticket situation, they will backstep or they'll do a U-turn, but they very rarely get involved in all this stuff in terms of, statements.
And I don't think they need to get involved in it. The one big thing I think would be really interesting, which would fuck over the players, and that's why I don't think they'll do it. They might do it if they end up leaving. But if Trent ends up leaving or Salah ends up leaving, I don't think so much Van Dijk would in this way, but Van Dijk's, I think, come out of this the best, keeping quiet. But I think if John Henry comes out or does one of his tweets and he says, thanks Mo for your service, gutted you didn't want to stay, sorry we couldn't offer you the 600 grand a week you want, that's when the fans go, fucking he want, that's what he wanted. Yeah. Or if he said to Trent, sorry Trent, thanks for your service, sorry we didn't want to take the captaincy off Virgil and give it to you this season. If the club come off and said the reason why it didn't happen was X, Y and Z, rather than us just going, oh, Mo's fucking posted on Instagram again. Do you know what I mean?
That'd be funny.
It'd be a bit bitchy though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But so that's the annoying thing.
I mean, look, I think the owners, in terms of like going back to my thing around, the owners haven't said nothing, or it would be mad of them to do it, wouldn't it? Because anything they say is only going to rattle the players and obviously have a negative impact on what goes on.
And that's why I don't think they will say anything. But if they do,
and even the managers has kind of joked about it, hasn't he, and stuff. Yeah. And
I don't think it will ever come out. But I tell you what, it would be fucking interesting if it did. Everyone's going, give him what he wants, and then they go, actually, he wants 700 grand a week.
That little Michael Jackson eating the popcorn.
Yeah. Well, I think if they, yeah. So if he genuinely wanted, say, 500 grand a week. What's that a year? About 20 million a year? I don't know. But
I mean, I was speaking to someone the other day. I don't think that's out of the question, though.
No, but I know. So he's obviously just thinking, isn't he? Well, if you want to replace me, you're going to have to go and spend 100 million.
And then you're going to have to give...
So you look, there's 130 million. All right, well, just give me 60 million. So give me 20 million over 3 years. I'm doing you a deal. And that's how it's fucking mad, innit?
It is, but that's the way football works now, isn't it? And that's it. It's how PSR works and everything as well.
And I'm not, again, suggesting if that is why we played shite again against United and Tottenham. But it just doesn't help, because at the time when you should be really excited, we're top of the league, semi-final league cup.
I think, it's a lot of noise, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lot of noise that you don't need.
Just be made up that we're doing well. On the game against Tottenham, you could argue we were hard done by, because the lad definitely should have got a second yellow. Doesn't get a second yellow.
Fortunate to not go 1-0 down just before that as well, weren't you?
Well, I was going to say fortunate that the first one I don't think was a yellow. Looked like Diaz dived.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
So I get Liverpool fans who are, aggrieved that, in the letter of the law, he should have got booked and he should have been off. But if you look at the first foul, I don't think the first foul was a yellow.
And you're also this bizarre rule that suddenly you have VAR in the semis when you haven't had the whole competition. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's
wrong, that, isn't
I think any competition,
it's got to stay
the
same.
rules should be consistent for the whole competition.
No, I agree. It's like when you have goal line technology in some grounds, not others.
If you can't have it everywhere, you don't have it anywhere. That's bizarre, that rule. So, like, I think that if that was a finish 0-0 last night, the Spurs fans think, what is going on here? We played in the competition with one set of rules, and now the rules have been changed for the semi.
It is bizarre. Listen, you're expecting a month's time. We've got enough to beat Spurs
at home.
At home. I think we'll definitely score a couple. They might score one, but
I guess the shame and the reason why Slotto played his strongest team is he was thinking, the way we performed the other week, we could beat these by 3 or 4, and then in the return, like, not that you're going to play a weakened team, you can certainly be a bit more like...
He was definitely thinking, wasn't he?
Conserving the energy, kind of.
Yeah. So there was that, frustrating, but not too bogged down by it. I fully expect us to go through in a month's time. Just more concerned with the league. Obviously, Accrington Stanley on Saturday. I'm guessing he's going to play most of the kids. And that's it. It's been a bit of a mad week. I think as a Liverpool fan, there's like so much to get excited about as an overall picture. Disappointing result against United, but then no other team capitalised. Disappointed against Spurs, but you're half unlucky. It's a contract situation.
Who's got next week in the league?
I'm not sure. Brentford, actually.
Yeah.
Brentford away.
Yeah.
Which will be a tough game, yeah. Tough game, but yeah. Should we move on to the Blues?
Go on then.
So I was going to take the piss. Neil in our group chat said that there would have been so many good jokes or songs about Potter just because of the name.
Well, not songs, it was more like, I can't be arsed with the media going like Harry Potter and Wizard fucking talk for the next 2-3 years.
So I was going to make a joke and say, obviously, so there was news that Dyche was going to go, news that Lopetegui was going to go, and there's Potter in the middle.
Fight for Potter, yeah.
Fight for Potter. And keeping on the Harry Potter theme, they just had this vision of like, Potter putting on the the
invisible
hat.
cloak. Yeah.
No,
invisible,
the hat that sorts your houses with Gryffindor or Slytherin, and he's there, and the hat's going, you'd be good for Everton, and he's going, not Everton. Okay then, West Ham, and obviously you're going to say that you didn't offer the deal, but it did look at a point where it was a race to get Potter. West Ham might be sacked their manager, Everton might sack theirs, which I think is really poor from both clubs.
Not as much from us.
Not as much for Everton.
Not as much from us in the sense that Sean Dyche's contract is up in the summer anyway.
Yeah, it's not as
and
bad
there's
for
no
Everton.
intention for us to...
West Ham, that was fucking... they made him take training.
Yeah,
as soon as he was in for a training, nice one, you sacked.
Took training again the next day.
No, yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
But he took it on the first day. I think it was the Monday.
When
everyone had said he's been sacked. He was like 1-9 to get sacked.
And then he was in the next day, meant to do a press conference. He went, just swerve the press conference, just go and take the lads for a run.
Yeah.
And then you come back, we'll speak to you. Yeah, you're gone, lad, you're gone. That's disgusting. I mean, we're laughing about it, but that is... And his half fella died the week before.
No, fuck's sake.
So his half fella's passed away, and he's had all this embarrassment, and then he's got sacked, and then...
Ironically as well, I wouldn't say they turned it around. If you look at the results in the last 6 weeks, they've been marked much better than they were, 2 months ago.
I always think, we will come on to Everton now, but I always think, a club like West Ham, I think they're about 12th, right? I don't know what their spending is in the league, but where do West Ham fans think they're going to, like, I'm sorry, but like, if City or Liverpool are going to win the league, there's the top two, let's say maybe Arsenal third, you've got Spurs, Chelsea, United, Newcastle. There's fucking about 10 bigger clubs I can name straight away. So what are they expecting to happen? It baffles me sometimes when some of these like mid-table clubs are going, we want. There are other clubs who also want to get there, who are in front of you. It's fucking bizarre, but...
I think it's probably like over the last few years, they have developed a half decent team, haven't they, in squad? And I think I think it's the performances of some of the attacking players who have got ability, like Pakatari, who just looks like a shadow of himself.
Yeah, but they have changed manager though, so they are going to have to, listen to new ideas and stuff. But anyway, let's get on to Everton because I want to try and wind you up if I can at any point.
I'm sure you will, yeah.
So I just think it's just a bizarre situation, right? And Evertonians will give me shit, as I'm sure you will now for saying this. I think getting rid of Dyche, if you do, and going for someone else, whether it obviously it's not Potter now, but whoever it may be, I just think that is so dangerous because with Dyche, you know what you're getting. You're getting someone who will, you've been confident all the while that you're going to stay up. I'm a little less confident, but I think most Evertonians will go, listen, he'll shore us up defensively and he'll keep us up. Okay, that's the kind of general consensus. To get rid of him...
I'm not sure that's the general consensus now, but go on. Yeah.
Well, he's known as that Sam Allardyce kind of...
Yeah, I want to argue with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get rid of someone like that, while you're languishing just a couple of points above, and get maybe a more forward-thinking manager in, who's maybe not got the CV of being able to shore things up defensively, I think that is really dangerous. It should be the opposite way round. You've got someone in who's maybe...
I know you've maintained that for a while. Like, how would you press break the emergency glass when you already had the answers to that emergency glass?
And that's the thing that I think's really... I think that's the thing. If I was an Evertonian, I'd be a bit like, look, we've got a manager, yet we know we're not going to play expansive, fast, attacking football. But you're almost now going to try and search for one in January and then expect this manager to come in, play better attacking football, but also keep the same levels what Dyche has got. And I just think that's a big gamble.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think the couple of things I counter it with is that first and foremost, I would say 90% of the fan base now are worried about this team under Sean Dyche getting enough points to stay in the league. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is almost part of the same point, this team of players, our best 11, are better than the number of points they've accumulated and where they are in the league. Now, I'm going to give Dyche credit for part of that. I think the back 5, including the keeper, and 6 or 7, if you include the whole midfielders, I think are a solid unit that can keep clean sheets against the best teams in the league. They've done it. They've done the best against the best teams in the league. But the balance in terms of us being able to threaten the opposition, create chances, playing in any different way other than the one way, means now that we're not scoring the goals to get us enough points to stay in the league. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think bringing in, whether it was a Graham Potter or whether it's another manager, a Portuguese manager or whatever, I think there was even people saying, we had the chance to get Conceição before he went to AC Milan. I mean, what Conceição could do with this group of players.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I'm not going to mock the Everton fans or say like we shouldn't be ambitious, but we've got to work, with reality, or we're dealing with reality, and we're also dealing with a substandard group of players, but certainly a group of players that are better than 17th and the number of points we should be, probably 14th, 15th.
I'll give you credit when it comes to defensively. You surprised me when I look at the goals conceded. It's mad, and some of the results you've had, like you rightly say. Do you honestly think, though, your best 11, as in the forwards attacking players, are good enough?
The forwards attacking players are better than what so for instance, Iliman Ndiaye's got 3 goals. He could score more goals if he was given a bit more of a license and a few more kind of ideas on how we could, like for instance, if the fullback overlapped him every now and again, he'd probably be able to cut inside and get a few more shots on goal. Calvert-Lewin has been awful. If Calvert-Lewin got a bit more service, and again, if the fullback's got on a bit further and got more cross in the box, he will get more goals. He's shown that in the past. Better would have got more goals in a more ambitious system. Decore, I don't even know what he is anymore because he's been dropped back in there since Onana has left. He's become this kind of weird box-to-box player who doesn't get in their box but doesn't get deep enough to make challenges anymore. We've missed McNeil desperately. Jack Harrison is not good enough, so you could look at Thelwell for bringing him in on a second loan deal. Jesper Lindstrom, is he good enough? I don't know, but he certainly hasn't been given enough license to get forward. So I think there are players, Decore, namely, Ndiaye, Calvert-Lewin, who could get more goals in another system and would get more goals, I think, with a manager who plays with a bit more ambition in certain games.
Do you know what it seems like? Maybe I'm being really harsh when I say this, but you know what it seems a little bit like, and I don't watch enough of you to know, you tell me whether I'm right or wrong in this analysis, but it seems a bit like Dyche has kind of started off the season and you're getting chances, but your goal conversion rate is shocking, isn't it? Like the shots you're getting on and with scoring, it's been really bad. I almost think he's kind of went, I play defensive and we'll have the odd chance, but you aren't taking those chances, so he's kind of went, you know what, fuck it, let's just be extra defensive.
I can't agree with that. I don't think his approach to games at the start of the season was any different. The big difference was we didn't have Jared Brantwaite, and we didn't have, like Ashley Young was out for a short period, Coleman was out for a period. We had very much a makeshift back four. We had Guy out for a while, so we had no real solidity back there at all and no consistency. So I don't think, I think when we were leaking goals at the start of the season, he's turned around and went, well, you want me to be more expansive. It wasn't the case. It was the fact that we were being more expansive because the players back there couldn't play the way that he wants them to play. The minute that we've got the players back that we wanted, he's reverted to the system that he knows and he trusts, and that's fair enough. I think that what you've got to level at him now is that we're no better than we were last season, and we've got better players in there than we did last season. Now, they're not amazing, significantly better players, but we've got more attacking options than we had last year, but we're worse. You look across the squad, and this is the biggest criticism I'd have to have as an Evertonian, and very few would disagree with me. I can't look at any player, apart from Jared Brantwaite, who is just a very, very good player anyway, who's got better under Sean Dyche. They all got worse. They're all worse players than they were 2 years ago. And that is a damning That's damning for it.
It's on his coaching, that, isn't it?
Yeah, whether you're Steve Stoney or whoever it is, them as a team of coaches I've made them worse players. Now, have they created a more solid system and a base? Probably. But beyond that, they haven't given any of them players any more license or created an environment where they can improve, and that's on them.
That's the thing. And again, like, joking aside, I have been saying, you know, I think he'll go down, and the only reason I've been saying that is because what you just said then, that just the lack of creativity going forward. And you look at some of the teams around you. I've seen the league table here. Everton 17 points, Wolves 16, Ipswich 16, Leicester 14, Southampton are done. Wolves and Ipswich and even Leicester, I'd fancy them to score a lot more goals than Everton. Now, yeah, they're not as good as you defensively, but you know, a little bit of luck, and any of those come up against the team who maybe are having an off day and can't hit the back of the net, there's a chance that they'll score. If you come up against the team who can't hit the back of the net, you probably still won't score anyway. And I think that's the scary thing. I think that, yeah, you could play a little bit better and you could do, but I don't think you're gonna. Someone's gonna come in and just start turning you into a goal machine, and goals are what's gonna win your games. Dyche has proven he'll get you loads of draws and you'll be all right. But it's the goals that are gonna get you 3 points, and you'd fancy Ipswich. I mean, Ipswich were unlucky to not get 3 points at the weekend, weren't they? Conceded them the last minute, I think. Leicester again, they're not as good, obviously, but you've still Vardy's in there, experience, you know, still gets goals. And Wolves, I think Wolves will be fine. I think they'll end up coming good.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those teams there, with respect, and I've said this to you before, Leicester got a win a few weeks ago in Van Nistelrooy's first game against West Ham. West Ham has an XG that night of 4, and Leicester's was 1. It was literally an absolute definition of a smash and grab, but it was one of them with a bit of momentum. They got the win under the manager. Since then, they've lost every game. I don't think Leicester are much better than Southampton. So, you know, it leaves then us, Wolves, Ipswich. I also think Crystal Palace are not out of it. I know Crystal Palace have been decent.
It's like a 4 or 5 point gap, I think, at the minute now, but you think they'll get dragged back in?
I don't think it's 5 points to Palace. I think did they win at the weekend? Did they?
I'm sure it's
definitely. But anyway, yeah, it might be. I think they could be sucked back into it. I think we could win. I think the 3 teams you're talking about there, Ipswich, Wolves, and Everton, I think could win a few more games to suck them in. But even if you make it the best out of 3 there, I would back us to oust one of those 2. Wolves have now had their lift. They've had Pereira in. He's won a few games. They obviously got a heavy defeat against Forest. We don't know which way they're going to go now. Pereira, if you look at his career as a manager, has always had a bit of a record of coming in and getting a lift, but he's never really stayed longer than 2 seasons at a decent side. I don't know what else he's going to get out of that Wolves squad. They've now lost Cunha for a bit. Yeah. I like Ipswich. I think they're getting better. I think they're the concerning one out of the 3, excluding, in my mind, Leicester, out of the other 2 teams, because they are getting better and they're still signing players to improve them, and they've got a good manager.
What would your bottom 3 be now, if you think this end of the season?
I think Wolves ends up in there. I think Wolves have had their lift.
Think Wolves,
they've rolled the dice already. They're not going to sack another manager. The squad's not getting any better because they've got no money. Cunha, I don't know how long he's out for, but you've seen when he's out the team the other day how toothless they are without him. I don't think the manager's got much more about him than he's shown already. I don't think Ipswich will, if they do finish above us, I don't think they're going to finish above us by a massive amount. But the key is, out of the 3 sides there, Ipswich are doing it with signings, but they are improving. I don't think they're going to improve a huge amount more than what they are now, because I think that the players they've got, some of them are playing out of the skin and are playing at the highest level they can. Whereas I think we've got a lot of players that are underperforming at the moment. Wolves, I just think they're a poor side. I think that they're fortunate probably that they've got a manager and he's got them 3 wins, I think, in the last 6 games. So I think the bottom 3 is as it is with Ipswich swapping with Wolves.
Yeah. So we joked about the eternal optimist. You're still not worried, or has it been dampened a little bit?
Oh no, it's definitely. I'm definitely more concerned than I was. It's ironic, really, because if you'd have told me the points that we'd have picked up over Christmas, the draws that we got,
I was going to bring that up. Madness.
Then I'd have been like, well, maybe I should be more optimistic. But it's more the.
Well, if you hadn't got those 3 draws against 3 of the top teams in the league, you should be in the relegation zone now.
We were also very lucky, and I hate to give you more ammo. We were very lucky that we caught Wolves on Gary O'Neill's last game. Beat them 4-0. But it was his last game. He got sacked after that, and 2 of the goals were own goals. So I can't say I'm optimistic. I'm not worried, because I still think in the next few weeks, two things are going to happen. One, we're going to bring in some reinforcements. We may bring in another manager. I think 2 days ago they said we are bringing in another manager, but I think the longer it goes on and we don't find a replacement, what I've been reliably told, and I know you're going to laugh because I told you the other day that he'd been sacked. Sean Dyche has been told he is being replaced as soon as we can find someone. If they find someone, then in the next week, then he goes. If we don't, the only way he gets sacked is that if for instance we get beat by Peterborough tonight.
I just think, mate, and I'm,
and he put a caretaker in charge.
I just think though it's such a poor way to, your new owners coming in and all that. I just think it's such a poor way. You like banking on Sean Dyche's professionalism. You've kind of said to him, look, listen lads, as soon as we find someone better, you're out the door. And you're now just hoping that he's going to go.
Did you watch his press conference the other day?
Yeah, no, I heard him, and I thought he was very honest and he was very matter of fact about the situation, which I get. But you are still hoping. I work for you, and you go to me, Andy, yeah, just to let you know, lad, not happy with you, what you're doing. As soon as we find someone better, you're getting fucked off. But until then, keep trying your best.
So you've got two choices then, right? And let's assume with that tonight. Let's say to the podcast, right?
Well, that's basically what he's done.
Let's say me and you got it's both our podcasts, and you've been off the boil, whatever. And I go, look, Andy, we're going to find someone else to come on, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, you're going to keep coming on. Listen. Just bear with me. You're going to keep coming on the podcast and keep, whatever. You've got two choices. You either sit there and sulk, in which case no other podcast is going to bring in. You think, what a fucking miserable, like, what kind of attitude you got? Do you know what I mean? Or you whatever. You start selling yourself. You come out and you're professional. You represent yourself and the club in a way, and you leave with dignity.
Yeah.
Which is what he's aiming to do now.
And you know
sit
what?
in that press conference thinking, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here with pride. Yeah. I'm going to highlight the good things I've done, but I'm also not going to dig the club out, because another club will look at that and go, well, he's going to do that the first chance that he does to us.
I can't disagree with anything, 100%, and that's what he's doing. And you know what? Fair play to him. I think it would be incredibly difficult if you said I was getting fucked off this pod and I had to sit here and go. I personally would find it really hard, and that's what he's doing. And I think it's so unfortunate that he's got. I just think it's a bit sly, just a bit fucking mean. Do you know what I mean?
It's not sly, as he says, and again he put it himself. He said, "Look, I was expecting as owners to be looking for contingencies and looking for the best person to take this job on, and if they don't believe it's me, then that's absolutely within their gift to do so." To cut to the chase, because I know you're going to ask me, and we're probably going to come on to the Mourinho thing, and to kind of go back to all of the points you've made. A lot of them are very valid, and I agree with a lot of them. It would be David Moyes. I would absolutely give David Moyes the job. I'd give it. I'm not saying I'd be excited by it.
I would then feel like all my slagging off Evertonians is worthwhile, because I've said for years that it's you.
By the way, I've got to say, this is not going to be the popular opinion. I'm not saying, and it might, listen, I think there'll be some Evertonians just sitting there nodding. I think some Evertonians have probably spat the tea out the minute I said it. But just the fact of the matter is, you're right in saying that we've got a squad at the moment that partially has been built by Sean Dyche. Therefore, you can't bring in a manager to come and play attacking football when you've got Michalenko at left back who can't attack as a full back. You've got two 38 to 39-year-old full backs. You've got a Nathan Patterson who may be, able to play a little bit forward thinking, but he's probably one of four full backs who we could maybe get a bit more out of from an attacking sense. Most of our midfielders, defensive midfielders, we've got 2 or 3 wingers, of which only 2. One really in Edelman's eye has got any record of goal scoring. McNeil can maybe create a little bit more. We haven't got a squad that an attacking coach, unless he's able to make 4 signings, can come and make a difference. If David Moyes come in, I think he could get more out of Decore and put him in that kind of Tim Cahill type of position. He's had a record while he was in charge of both us and West Ham of getting the most out of that number 9, like he did with Antonio, like he did with numerous number 9s, Andy Johnson, James Beattie, run-of-the-mill number 9s, but I think he'd get more out of them. I think he'd get us more goals from set pieces. I think he'd continue the solidity we've got at the back. I don't think he'd mess with that, and that's a credit to Sean Dyche. I think he would pick up more points for us. I also think he knows the fans, he knows the club. He would be buzzing And this is the point we've got to deal with reality as Everton fans. He would snap your hands off for an 18-month contract at Everton, because for him to walk into that new stadium as manager of Everton, having a second chance, having fucked us off for Man United, and getting a second chance to walk into a new stadium with Everton, I know he'd be beaming with pride with that.
How amazing would that be for him personally as well?
Oh, it was, and you know what? Like the bitterness aside of the way he left the club, because it was snide the way he done it. All these little all the meetings behind closed doors with Alex Ferguson, cozying up over a glass of whiskey for a year.
It's Man United though, isn't it?
I know, but and I didn't begrudge him the move. It was the way
he done it.
You know, he manufactured it in the background, and it was all like, you know. Anyway, that aside, you know, if there's any manager in the last 20 years who deserves to see us into a new stadium, who done more for us over a prolonged period, it's David Moyes. So I wouldn't be jumping out of my seat with joy. I wouldn't be buzzing going the game thinking this is going to be great attacking footy.
No, but
I think looking at that league table and looking at a manager who could navigate us out of that situation, work with the resources we've got, and get a little bit more. He has a record as an Everton manager of making very average players look good.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of very average players in that squad.
I'm pleased for you to hear you say that. I think it's obviously a thought out, measured opinion on it, and I think, I if I was an Evertonian, I'd want him in. As a Liverpool fan and just a fan of football, I would love to see Mourinho in there, because I just think, well, he's got history, hasn't he, with the owners anyway. They brought him into Rome and then they sacked him. He's won a trophy at every club he's been at, apart from Spurs. He got to the final, got sacked the day before. He brings drama. He brings a great defensive unit. He brings just the star quality of having one of the best managers in the world. And I think it'd be really interesting if he gets the job.
I mean, look, forgetting about the whole circus that comes with him, if you look at his profile as a coach and as a manager, you couldn't say that he couldn't do all the things that David Moyes had just done then. You couldn't say that he couldn't get a bit more out of the attacking players. He'd maybe be able to attract a couple of high-profile players who otherwise wouldn't look at Everton twice. You would have to say that is a possibility. And there's not, I can't lie that there's not a very small nostalgia, little bit of me that would be a little bit excited and go, wow, David Moyes at Jose Mourinho at Everton.
Special one.
The special one. He's had fucking special needs after he's been 6 months at Everton. But I just can't see it working.
There'd be drama. There'd be drama.
I can't imagine the state that he could. It could be disaster. Yeah. It could be an absolute
I just want it for the press conferences when you get beat. It'd be fucking the booze added with him, and he's fucking kicking off.
He's our fans. He'd be turning around to fans. There'd be murder. There'd be police separating him.
I think it'd be
from the fans. And I think for the Premier League and for neutrals and for people who are rivals, they would probably be buzzing with it. Yeah. I think if you looked at the league table, we'd probably win 5 out of our first 6 games and be well out of trouble. But the mess he'd leave the club
just descend into chaos.
It would just be carnage. But
it will be interesting. I mean, so if it's going to put a gun to your head now and say, does Dyche last the end of the season?
No.
So you just think that they're just out there then looking now, and it's going to be days or weeks then? Yeah, it's interesting.
I think days or weeks, and I think going back to my previous point before, it's unimaginable that we get beat by Peterborough tonight. For me, it is, but I'm not sure the rest of the country would think it's unimaginable. But if we do get beat by Peterborough, I think that's the only scenario where they go, look, Leighton Baines is just going to take over here because the wheels have well and truly came off.
The only thing I'd say as well is, like, the length of contract, whatever manager you do go for, like, what do you say? You got it till 6 months, or do you give them?
And that's what I mean. That does narrow down the candidates. If you look at me, my initial, the candidate I wanted in the summer, and I was a little bit worried about getting him now, but I'd love to get him in the summer, is Michael Carrick. But Michael Carrick wouldn't come in and go, I'm taking 6 months and leaving a job where I've been there for 2 years. I've built foundations. I've got the trust of the owners. I'm in a good place in terms of my reputation as a coach and a manager to come and work there for 6 months. You'd have to be giving him a bumper deal. And despite the fact he come in at Middlesbrough in similar circumstances when they were in the relegation zone and pulled them out of it, he hasn't got the Premier League record. So you couldn't give Michael Carrick a 6-month contract or an 18-month contract. The rest of the candidates are either in jobs or are not the type of person.
I think Mourinho's kicking off as well, and he's fell out with all the Fenerbahce stuff and all. Like
it's going the way that it normally goes with Mourinho, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's like the thing that the biggest. There's a number of concerns with Mourinho, but the biggest concern, the trend of his career, is his stints at clubs just be getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, and that's because his fuse is getting shorter. And the tools he's got at his disposal in terms of all these ideas and knowing the game is getting narrower.
Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like an absolute stud in his day. You know, like in his late 20s, early 30s, he's just a beast, good-looking lad. Tones, gets all the birds, and he's now like 50, but thinks that he can still like and you're like, lad, come on.
I know, yeah.
He's a bit like that, isn't
he? Yeah.
Last thing I will kind of press you on. And I know it's really difficult now because you don't even know the manager who might be next week. But I looked on where you were the season. You know, you stayed up on the last day of the season. You are 2 points better off and 2 point goal difference better off. 2 goals better off in goal difference. Do you think it's going to come down to the last day again?
You're right. I can't answer that question until I know what we're doing. This window is really important, not just from the managerial point of view, but from the recruitment point of view. We do need to bring in some players. If you do believe the rumours, and the rumours seem fairly well substantiated, that Beto's going to be moving on. Now, look, it's not going to be
sorry for him.
I feel massively sorry for him. It's not the podcast now to do it. I feel massively sorry for him because he's more than anything else. He's come from a team where the system was built around him. He had like players like Delafeu and Pereira who were playing off him and creating chances for him. Wasn't a long ball team at all. To a team that's just whacking the ball up to him. He's feeding off scraps. Yeah. He's hardly has any run of games, but he's missed chances in big games, and I don't think we've got that luxury of putting up with that. But anyway, if you believe that he's moving on, Brozier hasn't got a solid injury record. Calvert-Lewin is, I wouldn't even say half out the door. He's 80% out the door now in terms of his effort and his application. Yeah. We need goals. Whether that's through forwards or through wingers, so that's really important. Again,
it's so awkward though, isn't it? Because it comes back into are they going to give Dyche fucking 20 million?
And
it's a mess, isn't it?
You don't know if Kevin Thelwell's contract's up in the summer, so is the strong rumour, and that's been about now for a long time, is Dan Ashworth will come in the summer, but is Dan Ashworth advising them from behind? And if he is, I don't know. That's so we don't know. There's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't there? But if you were to ask me that question and put a gun to me head, I would say I don't think it'll go to the last game of the season, but it will depend on us doing some decent business in this window.
Yeah. Right, lad, I won't push you anymore on Everton. Bit of an interrogation. Sorry, lads. You know what? We'll leave it at that. Loads of Liverpool, loads of Everton. First one back into it. I'm sure there's loads of bits of sport that we missed out on, but it was just to get into the new year, back to the Sportscast and go from there. So, hope you all had a boss Christmas and New Year. Thanks for the support on the pod. Keep liking, following, subscribing, all that good stuff. And if you want to sign up on Patreon, that's great. We put footy tips out every weekend. And if not, have a boss weekend and we'll see you soon.